Hey, so today are my 7 tips of selling farm and ranch. Um, Number one tip is to find the highest and best use of the property. That may or may not come from your seller. Most of the time it will, but if it's an inherited property, if it's a property that they've just never done anything with and don't know much about it, you may be on your own. So, but you're never ever alone. That's the great thing about real estate. There are so many people to ask. You've got county extension agents. You've got other people in the industry. You know, we just love helping each other. So once you determine the highest and best use of the property, that could be recreational, that can be just your, it can absolutely be for production. By production, I mean it feeds the food chain. It's going to be raising livestock, planting crops. It can be a pecan crop, a pecan orchard. So anyway, once you determine the highest and best use, then you will need to make an assessment. That assessment will be: is it flat land? Is it cropland? How much is in crops? How much is in woods or in wooded areas? How much is undeveloped? And speaking of undeveloped, if your property's best use is for development, if that's the purpose to sell, then this is not your video. So this is what I would classify as farm and ranch. So once you determine the highest and best use, and you're working on your assessment, you're looking at the grazing. Has it been overgrazed? Has it been well cared for? Has it been manicured? Have they kept the cactus? Is the cactus been cleared, or the mesquite? In West Texas, we got lots of those things. Now in North Central Texas, you got lots of briars and lots of brush that way, lots of growth. It's amazing that people don't realize how much maintenance is required with land, because when it rains, everything grows. So even the stuff you don't want. So once you determined the land assessment, then your the third, actually it'd be the fourth, because you've already done your highest and best use. You've already assessed the land, and then you've got your land description, which would be rolling hills, whether it's farmland, so forth. Number 4 is fences. Look at your fences. When you sell farm and ranch, if you can't get through a lot of property, you walk a lot. I have walked and walked and walked. And actually, when I first got in this business, the best way to get to know a piece of property was to walk it. That sounds ridiculous, I know, but it's no different than walking through a house. You walk through the ranch. These days, I usually use a side-by-side if I can possibly. So it saves a lot of time, and they're so handy. So a lot has changed since I started. Number 5 is your water and your utilities. Water wells are pretty common on ranches. You'll need information about that water well, gallons per minute, depth, all kinds of things. Is it on solar? Is it on electric? Is it on windmill? We don't see as many windmills except on big ranches, but they are still very, very vital and very much used. So does the ranch have utilities? Does it have electricity? If it's got housing, probably has electricity. So number 6 would be the structure. Speaking of housing, your structure is going to consist of barns. It's going to consist of houses. You can have old houses that don't have much value. You can have mansions and get into the luxury ranch division. That one's nice. Pens, working pens, all of that goes along with a working ranch. So those are structure items, and you'll need to kind of assess how those are. And then number 7, you've always got to know your exemptions. Hopefully your seller has a 1D1 exemption in place if it qualifies. I have been showing some ranches, some smaller ranches, maybe 100 acres, and they don't have a 1D1, which means they have no ag exemption. If you don't have ag exemption, you have no discounted taxes, and it's really imperative in the marketing that you know the exemptions that are in place. If you do qualify and you have a 1D1 exemption, you also qualify to have a wildlife exemption, and that's a really good option, especially these days when so many places are hunting properties, and they can be commercially hunted or just pleasure hunted. But anyway, so those are my 7 tips. Number 1, highest and best use. Number 2, the property assessment. Number 3, the land type and description. Number 4 are fences. And number 5, the water and utilities. Number 6 is the structure. And then number 7 are the exemptions. And that's it for this video.